Hello guys and welcome back to Planet 40k Tyranids. Now in today's video we've got another list build for you. We've already done a 1000 point list. This time we're going to be doing a 2000 point list. It is just my personal list and I'd love if you could improve it in the comments down below. In fact, before we get into this, I just wanted to make you aware we've now opened our Tyranids Discord server. So the link will be down in the description below. And we've got all sorts of different chat areas, different chat places to talk about your painting, your tactics, your list builds, and there'll be other people in there that will get involved and help you out with your questions and stuff like that. So you can also get involved in that. Also, we've got our membership area, which has been open for about a few weeks now, which is called the Hivemind, and you get your loyalty badges as well as custom emojis, and you will get a unique Discord role within our Discord that we just mentioned. And yeah, all the support and all the funding for that literally just comes straight back into the studio for the lighting, the camera, and all that kind of stuff. So it just literally comes straight back into the channel. So thank you for all the guys that have in fact joined our membership area. So let's get on with today's video. It's a 2000 point Tyranids list. Again, it is just my personal list. Let's start off with the Warlord for this list, and it's none other than the Swarmlord. 250 points. Now of course he's got a few unique abilities. Hive Commander, so you get an extra CP, which is obviously nice. That kind of competes with the Hive Tyrant's ability to use a stratagem for 0 command points. It's a very similar sort of main there. Also got Malign Presence. So once per battle, when your opponent uses a stratagem, you can increase that stratagem's cost by 1 command point. I think that's a pretty big deal, especially that we start with 0 command points. And I like to always use my Necrons as a bit of a guide here. But if you are playing against my Necrons, and I want to pull out the Protocol Run by Legions to regain models with reanimation protocol in your shoot phase or fight phase, or my shoot phase or fight phase or whatever it is, you can literally increase the cost of that by 1 command point, which makes it more expensive for the entire game. So it's really important there. And the third ability, Domination of the Hive Mind, so you're going to get a 9-inch synapse rather than a 6-inch synapse, which will in fact save you on having to get an enhancement. Now of course he's an epic hero, so he can't take an enhancement, but there is an option for the Hive Tyrant to take an enhancement to increase his synapse range. I think it's the Synaptic Linchpin, which we're not talking about today. Now he's a bit of a beat stick in general with his Synaptic Pulse range weapon. D6 plus 3 attack, strength 5 minus 1 AP, 2 damage, not too bad. And the Bone Sabers, which are twin linked, which are 8 attacks, both skill 2 plus, strength 9, minus 2 AP, 3 damage. There's a lot of damage coming out of this guy. Invulnerable save over 4 plus on top of that. He is a bit of a nightmare to get rid of. Now the second character in this list, and we kind of just mentioned him a moment ago, is the Hive Tyrant. I'm doubling up on my Tyrants. I'm bringing the Hive Tyrant, 245 points this time. I'm going to be, well the reason it's 245 in fact, I've got to say this, is because I'm adding the enhancement on, Adaptive Biology. So he's going to have a 4 plus Feel No Pain save because, well, he'll have a 5 plus Feel No Pain save, and then when he loses a wound it'll be a 4 plus Feel No Pain save. Now, I'm not going to be adding any of the range attacks. I'm sticking with the stand loadout with the melee weapons of the Monstrous Bone Swords and Lash Whip, which are strength 9, minus 2 AP, 3 damage, twin linked, and the Monstrous Simon Talons for the extra attacks. They're only strength 7, but it is 4 extra attacks. He's also another tanky model. He's got the 4 plus invulnerable save, and his unique abilities, Will of the Hive Mind, we just kind of mentioned it. You can make a stratagem 0 command points with a unit within 12, which is nice. When you're combining that with a Swarmlord, you're going to be pretty decent on the command points there. And then Onslaught, which is an aura, a psychic aura. For friendly units within 6 inches, they're going to gain the assault ability, so you can advance and still fire as normal, which could be useful for a number of things. So we'll get onto that kind of synergy in a moment. We've got a third character in this list, and it is another epic hero. It's Old One Eye. I really like Old One Eye this edition. 140 points, pretty cheap. Got to Feel No Pain of a 5 plus. Is also a leader for Carnifex units. We'll get onto them in a moment, of course. Alpha leader, so when he's leading a unit, you get to reroll all the hit rolls for the entire unit. And in each player's command phase, he regains D3 lost wounds, which is very nice. There's 2 command phases per turn. Brilliant. Now he is only toughness 9. He's only got 9 wounds, but he's got a 2 plus armor save, and that 5 plus that 5 plus Feel No Pain save is going to keep him up and running alongside that unstoppable monster ability. Melee weapons, he's got the 2 profiles with the old One-Eyed Claws and Talons. Strength 14 is the anti-tank option with D6 plus 1 damage, or the sweep with 12 attacks at strength 6, which, you know, it gives a little bit of flexibility in game. So of course he's going to be going with a couple of Carnifexes with the unit. That's 125 points per Carnifex. That's going to be 250 for the pair. With Blistering Onslaught, so when they're making their charge move, you can... In fact, it's not even a charge move, is it? Each time an enemy unit is selected to shoot, after the enemy unit is shot, if any models in that unit lost 1 or more wounds as a result of this attack, you can do a Blistering Assault move. To do so, you roll a d6, add 2 to the result. Each model in this unit that can be moved a distance in inches up to the result, but this model must finish that move as close as possible to the enemy unit. And you can even get into engagement range when doing so. So yeah, they're quite nasty even in your opponent's turn. They're toughness 9 as well, with a 2+ armor save, 8 wounds, not 9, not like the one-eye. Now I'm going to be swapping the the 2 extra talons out for the Strangleform cannons like we did in the 1k list. I'd rather just the extra ranged output. You're going to be re-rolling the hit rolls anyway, and also if it is nearby the Hive Tyrant, you're going to get the Onslaught, so you could actually advance and still fire as well if you wanted to. So that's my Carnifexes that are going to go, of course, with Old One-Eye. Next, we've got a bit of artillery. We're going to go with 3 units of 3 Zoanthropes. Now, Zoanthropes are probably the best unit, I think, in my opinion, in this current index. I'm going with 3 lots of 3. So they're not max units, but they're separated. So we've got 9 in total. It's 270 points or 90 points a unit. Now, their Warp Field Aura ability, of course, gives them a 6+ invulnerable save. For units within 6 inches, rather. They've got their own invuln save, which is a 4+, which makes them quite tanky. But their Warp Blast ability is why you're going to be bringing them. 24-inch range with Blast. Strength with D3 attack, Strength 7 -2 AP, D3 damage, but that's not the main profile here. What I like is the Focused Witchfire. It's not Blast, but it has lethal hits. It's only 1 shot, so lethal hits isn't actually that big of a deal, although you do have 9 of them in total, so you will expect one of them to be a 6. But to be honest with you, you're hitting on 3s, Strength 12, you're kind of doing a bit of work there, -3 AP and D6 +1 damage. So going up against, anti-tank, going up against tanks, monsters, vehicles, that's going to do a bit of work. Next we come on to another monster unit, it's a monster unit, and we've got 2 Exocrines. Not 1, we've got 2. 270 points total, 135 points each. Now with their symbiotic targeting, as soon as they score a hit roll against the enemy unit, then army-wide you get to reroll hit rolls of a 1 against that enemy unit. So going back to those Zoanthropes that hit on 3s, you could potentially be re-rolling 1s if you synergize with your Exocrine. Now the Exocrine's weapon is pretty good anyway, Bioplasmic Cannon, which has the blast and heavy keywords. So if it is stationary, you'll be hitting on 2s. 36-inch range, so you don't really need to move. D6 +3 attack, Shrimp 8, -3 AP and 3 damage. So a ton of work coming out of that thing. And 1 could potentially help to aid this one, because you've got 2 Exocrines here, so you could be re-rolling 1s if you wanted. Toughness 10, very tanky, 3+ armor, 14 wounds, we like all that stuff. So yeah, that is going to not only help in fact the Zoanthropes, but we also forgot the Carnifexes as well. They've got the Strangleform cannons, so they'll also be able to re-roll their 1s if you use the Exocrine first. Next we've got a bit of a screening unit / action monkey kind of unit. We've got 2 units of 5 Barbgaunts. Now they were recently nerfed in the errata, just recently. You can still split fire them, but you're not going to get the effects of their disruption bombardment on more than 1 enemy unit from this Barbgaunt unit. So what this does is it's going to, as soon as you land a hit with this unit at range, then the enemy units are going to be disrupted, so they're going to get -2 to their movement characteristic, -2 to their advanced move, and -2 to their charge move. So it's going to slow them down by potentially 6 inches if they were hit by one of these guys with this weapon. But of course you can select 1 enemy unit throughout the entire unit. Now the ranged weapon themselves aren't actually that bad. Their biocannons are blast and heavy again, similar to the Exocrine. D6 shots per guy, so you've got 5 of them, so D6 × 5, pretty nice. Hitting on 4s, potentially re-rolling 1s with the Exocrine. Strength 5, no AP, 1 damage. So yeah, they're not only cheap, 50 points per, 50 points a model. No, 50 points a model, 50 points a unit, but we've got 2 units, that's 100 points, but that is very cheap for not only the ability, but the biocannons as well. They could be hitting on a 3+ because it's heavy as well, and a good screening unit on top of that. Next, we're going to be bringing another monster in. It's a little bit of an objective mid-ground bully. It's the Haruspex, 125 points, fairly cheap. With the Grizzly Spectacle ability, you can, as soon as you are selected to fight, If any enemy units were destroyed by your attacks, if they're within 6 inches, they have to do a battle shock test. Yeah, that's okay. I'm not saying that's the best ability, it's okay. But this thing is fairly tanky. Toughness 11, 3+ armor, 14 wounds. The ranged attack has the precision ability, so if you were able to target a unit with a character in, you've only got 1 attack with it, but it is strength 6 minus 2 AP, D6 plus 1 damage, so the damage is quite decent, and you can catch a unit out or catch a leader out within a unit. But the melee weapons are where it's at. The Ravenous Maw, 14 attacks, 3+ weapon skill, strength 7 minus 1 AP, 2 damage, so that is literally eating Space Marines for dinner. And then you get 4 additional attacks at strength 14, minus 2 EP, and D6 plus 1 damage. So you can also do a bit of anti-tank work on top of that. But what I want to be doing with the Haruspex is literally bullying objectives on no man's land. Any units that are on there, they're going to have to deal with this thing. It's OC4, so it likely will get outscored on the OC department unless it can remove models. But yeah, a big harassment unit there. Next we've got 2 single models, that's single units of Biovores. Now I learnt my lesson in the previous video we did in terms of the list, the 1k list. I brought 3 Biovores. A lot of you guys said you don't need 3 to do what you're trying to do with them. I took that advice on board, had a little look at it, and you're right. So I've only gone with 2 here, 130 points because the price went up. Unfortunately they did get nerfed, 65 points a model, and they're getting a new model this edition. Now hopefully I've got the right model this time. I believe I used the Biovores thumb in the last one. They look very similar, but I think I've got the right one this time. Let me know if I haven't. So the spore seeds, or the seed spore mines, are really the main reason you're taking the Biovores. So in the shooting phase you're effectively shooting out a spore mine 48 inches, no more, well it has to be more than 9 inches away from enemy models. And then that spore mine is going to contain 1 model because we've got 1 Biovore per our unit. So effectively from each one of our Biovores we can throw out 1 each. That's going to be 2 spore mines in enemy backlines, engage on all fronts. Those kind of secondaries we can score with our spore mines, which are completely free when using them with these Biovores, which are nice. Now if we weren't to use the spore mines, we could still use the range attack, which is a spore mine launcher. It's got a ton of keywords: blast, devastating wounds, heavy, indirect fire, 48-inch range, attacks D3, blitz skill 4+, which will go to a 3+ if you're using blast. No, not blast, heavy, that's the one. Strength 6, minus 1 AP, 2 damage. It can do a little bit of work if you want it to, but if you've got the opportunity to score with it, you may as well take it. That's why they're there. We've got another unit now, which is the Lictor. Only 75 points. I'm going to be using him to do all the sneaky stuff, the secondaries again. A lot of core abilities: fight first, infiltrators, lone operatives, stealth. So quite difficult to get hold of. It's going to be fighting first, even if you do get hold of him. Quite difficult to find at range because he's got stealth and lone operative. And if he does destroy an enemy character, he gains a CP. Probably not going to be doing that, to be honest with you, not with this guy. And then once per battle round, you can target this model with the ability of rapid ingress stratagem rather, for 0 command points instead of spending command points for it. So that can bring him onto the battlefield in your opponent's turn. Now, toughness is quite high. It's 6 with 6 wounds. He's only got a 4+ armor, but a 5+ vulnerable save to help him. And the Lictor claws have precision, so he could potentially kill a character. We said he won't, but he potentially could if there's a single character nearby. Why not? Hey, he's got 6 attacks, strength 7, minus 2 AP, 2 damage, precision. Probably will lose him if you try to go for a unit with a character inside it. But if you want to score assassination and this is all you've got, this is the guy to do it. Next, I've got another objective hunter kind of unit, and I've gone with Raveners, a min unit of 3, 75 points. Now their ability is the main reason why I'm bringing these guys. Death from below. So at the end of your opponent's turn, if this unit is not within engagement range, you can literally remove them from the battlefield, put them into strategic reserves. And of course, your opponent's turn ends, it's now your turn. In your movement phase, they're coming back, virtually deep striking. 9 inches away from enemy models. Again, I'm thinking about behind enemy lines, engage on all fronts. I know I go to those two quite often, but there's plenty of objectives what you need to use units like Raveners for. Getting them into the back lines, maybe it's a home objective that your opponent has that's unguarded, and you've got Raveners there, you can pop them in, take over it. In fact, I think that one is 8 victory points. I can't remember what it's called now. Is it take enemy stronghold or something? You get 8 victory points for taking their stronghold if you pull that secondary out and do it. So that could be useful for that. They're pretty rapid in general, they're moving 10 inches, toughness 5 as well. And you can add the bioweapons on top of that for some range attacks, and they're Ravenclaws as twin links. So they're doing a bit of work in melee, a little bit of work at range, but really it's all about the ability. Now I had 70 points left and I wasn't sure what to do, so I went with 2 units of 3 Ripper Swarms. Now I'm not suggesting Ripper Swarms are the best unit by any means, it was just that there were 70 points left over, and their ability can come in handy, which is halving the object's control of enemy units. But realistically, they're just going to be another cheap screen. I've got 2 Exocrines to try and screen off. I've got enemy backline to screen off from Deep Strike and things like that. So really, they're just going to sit in my own objective area, screening out things so they're not going to get an easy charge on our Exocrines. Now these things are only toughness 2, 6+ armor save. They've got 4 wounds at least. At least they can take a little bit of damage before actually getting removed. The likelihood is your opponent isn't going to target them anyway, unless there is a screen in the way. So this is the full list of everything that I've got in my list, in my 2000 point list. And I'm going to now talk about where they're going to be going. I'm not going to do the map this time, I'm going to just sort of do this in waves. So the first wave, I've got a Hive Tyrant with Old One Eye and Carnifexes, the 2 Carnifexes that are going with Old One Eye. That's going to be my first wave. They're going to literally go for the front lines and attack whatever is there. Whether it's the juicy stuff, whether it's the screens, they're just going to clear a way for them to get through. Now this is going to be a huge distraction because your opponent isn't going to like 4 monsters literally tearing down the battlefield towards their good stuff. So they're going to have to start dealing with it, so that they are literally going to be distraction Carnifexes, but instead of having 2 Carnifexes, there's going to be 2 Carnifexes, Old One Eye, and the Hive Tyrant. The Hive Tyrant, of course, providing that ability with the Hivemind, so we can use a stratagem for free. And Old One Eye is going to be providing all the rerolls to the hit rolls. In fact, going back to the Hive Tyrant, he's going to provide the assault keyword as well, don't forget, with his ability, so we can still advance and still fight with the Carnifexes if we needed to, if we weren't going for a charge. Now the objective bullies in the No Man's Land, I'm going with the Swarmlord and the Haruspex. They're not going to need to go too far ahead. If the Hive Tyrant does go down, we've still got the Swarmlord that could take his position, but really the 2 main objectives in the No Man's Land, these guys are going to go for them. They're going to be the bullies, they're going to clear out them, and even if they don't clear them out, they're at least holding your opponent's units down for a fair period of time because they're both quite resilient models. Then we come on to the objective scorers. I've got the Biovores. I know they're shooting, but they've got the Spore Mines launch, haven't they? So they can throw the Spore Mines to get some points. You've got the Raveners with their ability to literally go into strategic reserves and then come back out. The Lictor can also do little things, little actions here and there, and he's going to be quite hard to shift. He's also got quite a small base and he's very easy to hide, so he should be quite difficult for your opponent to deal with. And the 2 Ripper Swarms, they could be potentially used for doing little actions, like there's a mission that only recently played where you got to create your own objectives. I can't remember what it's called now. It's not Servo Skulls, is it the Relic one? Whatever it is. There's one where you got to build your objectives by doing an action, something that the Ripper Swarms could potentially do. Then we come on to the ranged assault of my army. The 2 Exocrines, of course, the Zoanthropes, and I've even included the Barbgaunts. They're not going to do a ton of work. They're more likely going to be just screening off, but they're still firing at range. So yeah, that is my 2000 point list. You have to let me know what you think. What would you change? What would you suggest to change? Have I gone too heavy on the monsters? Have I not got enough scoring units? You let me know down in the comments below. And yeah, that's my list for you guys to have to share with you. Let me know what you think. So guys, if you found this video interesting, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next one.